EMC, ECM, all equities, EMC, is that what it is? Condition, yeah, extract the national park those years.
Nothing here, like, so. Or you're coming up, yeah, you're back.
A different one with on it, so I don't know if anybody else's one.
You wanna go back to that?
No, how?
I guess. They're turning that red line into apartments. Yep, they turn it into condos. I worked there for 10 years. The red line, yeah. We got
Oh, official mayor.
Fisher. There we go. Welcome to the City of Shelton study session, February 27th. Donna, your roll call, please.
I will. Councilmember Blush.
Here.
Councilmember Sherman.
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Mayor Nesco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Stearns.
Here.
And Councilmember Gilmore.
Here.
All right. We have two items on our study session tonight on our agenda, but I wanted to ask you, we have one member of the public that this is a study session. We will not be taking any public comment tonight. In the event that this moves forward, there'll be another three times people can comment on something. Public hearing, business, and an action item. So tonight, we're going to start with the 2024 work plan presented by City Manager Mark Stickler.
Mayor, some numbers, welcome. And out of the rain this evening. I'll just give you a little synopsis of the 2024 work plan that's been developed by all of our departments. This doesn't necessarily require action from the council. We're happy to bring it back to you if you'd like to see an update or further information. You're going to be seeing a lot of what's incorporated in this work plan throughout the year, and you've heard a lot about it. Well, some of you have heard a lot about it in the last couple of years as well, but others over the last few months. So I'll just kind of hit some highlights, work through this. We have department heads with us this evening that can expand upon the programs or projects. If you have any further questions, feel free to stop me at any time to further expand on this. Like I said, I'll start on the first page with administration, citywide photo identification program, something that Mary Ricker, communications specialist, is taking on. It'll be something that we'll issue to the council as well, photo identification, further security for our staff and the public. The second bullet point there about the comprehensive plan, further engagement with our community. You see that a couple times throughout this work plan. Obviously, the update is a large lift and it touches the entire city, every department here, so you'll see that throughout. Labor negotiations, Leander Sharp, our human resources manager, is leading that charge with our three labor groups this year. Their contracts all into this year. It's probably not ideal that all three contracts are ending at the same time. It's a pretty large lift. That so when we get to that, it's streamers begin an honest conversation about their contracts and negotiations this year.
Mark,
Yeah.
the transit uses a gentleman called Cabinet. Helping out with using negotiations. Is that something that we could maybe?
We contract with some
Okay.
for support as well. Pardon me, here. No, it's actually John Lee who has helped us through the last few negotiations. Yeah, we've engaged with him.
Okay.
Utilize and much as necessary, particularly with the reorganization of the administrative services department. It's more important we have some support there, particularly people support.
Okay, just make, see if we do use somebody to help her out.
Yep. At the bottom of page 2, the semi-monthly payroll, again, switching and implementing semi-monthly payroll, that'll affect council as well. Right now, we have a draw program and the auditors, obviously, department auditors, said we don't want you holding that draw over to beginning of the year, essentially. You need to fix that, so either you go to monthly payroll, semi-monthly payroll, not have that draw held over, so we're gonna institute semi-monthly payroll, so there's 2 checks issued that not that big. Standard in the industry anyway, also, it's been brought up a number of times, seasonal staff, part-time staff, new staff and new hires. When it was monthly, they had to wait a whole month to get that first paycheck. And it's been communicated to us that sometimes that's a bit of a hardship, especially new employees, so. We're working on that now, implementation. The library deck project, that's, design work is ongoing. Did probably sometime this spring, got a project, construction season this year, $70,000 grant from the Department of Commerce, library construction project. Timberland Regional Library is a partner as well as utilizing, library deck project. Civic Center security upgrades, this is the police fencing, it's under design, really getting close to finishing that up, as well as some security measures for access control to the building on this site, particularly court and police and PD. Let's see, I'll go to the finance department. Finance department, you'll see a lot of kind of ongoing projects, management projects, quality of service. Because really there's, lack of a better term, they're just chucking out the work every day, right? There's not a whole lot of projects that to be done, other than they're taking on payroll this year. And this semi-monthly payroll program, so it's really important that that department's fully staffed, they're able to get the annual reports done on time for the auditor's office, as well as provide all the information to council and companies for the transfer budget process and so. Skip to the police department. Police department as well, focusing on recruitment retention. We talked a little bit about recruitment back at the last meeting when we saw in Officer Houston. How long it takes to get somebody on board, which is around a year. So retention of our officers is really important. It's more cost effective to the city to not have that turnover. Maintain those staff. Officer wellness program underneath that, as part of that, maintaining our officers' wellness, making sure they're physically able to come to work, they enjoy their work, and they have some benefits that are extended to them. At the same time, bottom of the next page, Boswick accreditation, just achieved renewed accreditation, and that process is an ongoing process. It's dynamic, right? We have to keep up on our education, our training, all of our policies, and so that has to be an ongoing process. We can't just come back 3 years later, wipe the slate clean and complete under those last minute. We have to show that that's being done throughout the 3-year process, right, Chief? Correct. 3-year process. So 4-year process. 4-year. And that is one thing Chief Post has done. That's being funneled down throughout the organization. It's not responsibility of that. There's different staff in the department taking responsibility for different things to make sure there's succession planning there, right? But also there's ownership. Public Works Department, you'll see that there's a lot of capital projects are included in here. Those are in the capital improvement program. You know, we have the AMI metering project, we have the side pressure zone, we have the well one pressurization project going on now. We'll start design fairly soon on North Cliff Road improvements, going to contract fairly soon on the Safe Routes to Schools program, but you'll see that Jay and his team from Public Works have put this together in a 6-year implementation program. Really looking at proactive maintenance, the pavement condition index rating system is important in that. Our ERR system, this our vehicle program, and how we're going to best maintain and replace our vehicles in a timely manner, so those don't slip into the condition that it costs us more money than it should to maintain those vehicles, or they're not of service to us and to our community. So being proactive on a number of fronts. Employee development has been really important within the Public Works Department with the lack of a city engineer. We're bringing staff up that are performing functions a little bit above their job description right now. They're performing quite well, and we're happy to have that. But they've got a lot of workload because of that. We want to make sure that they have those opportunities, but at the same time, we're providing them with the ability to get their primary work done, and be supported in every way they can. Emergency management, another priority. The city, Jay's taken this on, actually Jay and Jay, Community Development and Public Works, have taken on this project, as well as a number of individuals in the city to take this on in more earnest. We've had a few employees go through ICS training recently and develop that emergency management plan. We'll see some of that at the March 12th study session. So we can kind of prime for that. So our intent to keep marching forward that. It's the best of our. Let's see. Touch on environment. You know that that phase 2 stormwater plan, so it's important that we are actively managing that permit and stormwater systems in our community. That is an ever increasing responsibility for the city with the staff that we have. So we want to make sure that we stay on top of that proactively, exceeding what the expectations or recommendations or requirements might be. For our stormwater program, and we also obviously have our wastewater treatment plants that have performed quite well, basically due to the dedicated staff that we have. We need to stay proactive and plan relief for those. You can see that Headwater and Headworks improvement project and Headwater improvement projects. It's satellite wastewater treatment plant coming up that'll further add capacity up there and treatment capabilities. Also serve as an economic development driver. That's part of the so is that right plan? It works. Technology, that's another focus within the Public Works Department, implementing the electronic asset management program over the last 6 to 8 months, I think. Probably nervous, but continuing to implement that throughout the departments, utilize it more appropriately, utilize GIS internally. We've been contracting with a consortium in Washington State. It hasn't been the most highly functioning system, so looking at other options that might provide us the services that we really need internally to better maintain and manage our assets. If we can look at a map and know where a manhole is. I'll simplify this really closely in the office. It saves us a lot of time setting somebody out in the field and locating manhole, looking at the condition of full of our electronic management system, know when it's been cleaned, know when there's been maintenance, performed on it, know when it was built and installed, what the materials are, what kind of heights and that type of stuff. So it's a long process to build that system from scratch, but that's what's happening right now. With our staff in multiple departments. I'll skip over to community development. Structure abatement. As you know, we've already seen one in last year. There's others that are close to, receiving, some of that same attention, if you will. And that's been a, nuisance properties and hazardous abatements that were a priority when we established the 24 budget. Council, we budgeted $80,000 to help facilitate that program. Our code enforcement officer and community development director have done a great job in facilitating that one problem structure that, trouble finding ownership, things like that, really delay those processes. But looking forward to being able to provide that service to that community, provide some relief to some neighborhoods, move some light, hopefully put some of these properties back on the market as well. It's much more marketable than that structure, if you will, that's on the site anyway. Student community cleanup program again this year, 2 days in May. We'll have more information for you fairly soon, but that's being planned as we speak. So 2 locations, just to drop off their materials. Our code enforcement officer will be quite active in promoting that service to residents that need to get that. Targeted approach, absolutely, yeah. That's in, here's a voucher essentially.
All this,
Voucher.
pick it
All
up.
this can go.
We're here on Saturday.
We'll take it, yep, perfect, take it, drop it off. Go all the way for you, absolutely right. I know that we've talked amongst a few council members about how maybe community partnerships could be built in that avenue too. We're certainly interested in if somebody, a group, a service club is interested in providing some service in conjunction with that activity. We're interested in hearing from them. They can reach out to us because there's some individuals that don't have that physical capability. They might not have a vehicle, maybe a firm or whatever the condition may be. Their property is falling into the condition becomes a nuisance, so they may need some assistance and be great. There's some partnerships out there, some neighbors that we chip in and help out with situations. Great. Yeah, absolutely. Next page, comprehensive plan update, as I mentioned before, big lift in community development as well as the rest of the departments. The Crosstown Trail Simpson phase of that is the Simpson Railroad Trail. The other phase is what used to be, and it's been referred to as Railroad Trail, Shelton Point Trail, or a number of different things. But look to be receiving some funds for both of those phases and processing some, hopefully some implementation on it. Simpson Railroad Trail is removing the tracks this year at some point during the weather season, but also starting some planning and design for those 2 elements. Try to get some linkages and meet one of the highest priorities within the Parks and Recreation Comprehensive Plan, which is trails in our community. Getting your water out the open bay, also, multimodal trail that we provide for bikers and strollers and walkers and joggers throughout down, as well as a linkage, serves as a transportation element at the same time as a recreation. Community rating system. This is a program through National Flood Insurance Program will lower flood insurance rates for policyholders. Senior planner doses signed up for a program this fall, I believe. Yeah, this fall we go out and receive certification there. We become CRS and our policyholders in our community. We talked about housing affordability initiatives, several different things like MFTE, inclusionary setbacks, housing credits, bonus units, things like that. The county has developed an RFI, request for information for transitional or supported housing as well. Ask the city to provide comment on that and partner any way it may be possible. So there's avenues out there for increasing housing stock, especially those that may need affordable housing. So looking forward to providing some more options for council moving forward. Part of that's gonna be in the comprehensive planning process too, right? Build those comprehensive plan housing. Shelton Creative Arts District, Jay Hill, happened to run into, what department is that, Jay?
The state arts.
State's Arts Commission should know that pretty easy. State Arts Commission has funding to develop arts districts and art programs within communities, so. Chase had some very fruitful conversations with them, he's reaching out to local community members that would. Serve as a steering committee in this endeavor. As you remember, in 2015, we Shelton Downtown Visioning Program. Focused on an art district on Coda Street, and so refining that a little further. There's already, some elements of an art district there with some gallery space. That's newly opened on Coda Street, so. Let's take advantage of a little bit of momentum there, and individuals that are interested in participating in that process. Try to facilitate down for a seat. Perhaps, maker space or anything else that might be entailed. Last on the list, the animal licensing modernization. It's an annual process right now. There's programs and systems out there that would modernize that, mechanize that essentially, track it much more easily. Send out notices for licensing of animals on a regular basis, annual, if you will, or they, there's different options as far as long-term licensing and things like that. That better track some of the animals that get loose in the community, but and get them back to their owners appropriately, but also, just that licensing program benefits that has to. That ownership. So. That's pretty quick run through of this list of projects. Happy to answer any questions. Just from this sitting behind you. Be happy to answer any questions. If I know they're nodding their head.
Yes, they are. Two of them are. Comments or questions? Sounds good.
Labor negotiations, have you had any preliminary discussions on, I know we go into executive session for that, but, is there any anticipated events or things like that?
No, we haven't sat down with any of the guilds at this point. We've had some preliminary conversations about some salary structures within their existing contracts that have been problematic, if you will. They need to be cleaned up, frankly, so we talked about how we address those now and how we may want to address them in the future. We are developing a kind of a financial forecast, if you will. That'll be our first meeting, probably at the end of March. We'll present the city's existing finances, some projections on what we're looking at for expenditures and revenues, and then any forecasts as far as what salary increases would look like, so we can better educate these individuals on where we're sitting financially now and in the future. So when everybody comes to the table, they have to sort of understand that financially. So want to and much more transparent, I think, process with our labor negotiations that we have in the past. Come to the table, maybe some assumptions on each side that weren't quite accurate. So we want to make sure that we're able to have those taken care of up front, and we're sitting down and really focusing on the largest issues at hand that are most concerned to these labor deals, as well as most concerned on the management side of things. So we have to maintain, a state financial institution here. We also have to promote public safety, retention. I talk about the police department. Retention is an issue, I think, throughout the city. It's expensive to replace employees that have a lot of institutional knowledge, and we're not necessarily, the city of Shelton's not necessarily positioned to compete with communities on the I-5 corridor. So how can we do that? Maybe not entirely from financial packages. So make you aware of that. We have to have an open conversation on what that might be from our employees. We're open to hear from them.
I want to go back and ask about something.
Yeah.
On the police, we're doing the Citizens Academy. I know I've been to both, Miguel's been to both, Joe went to one, Melissa went to it. And they're really informative, there's a lot of good stuff there. I see we have the next thing there is National Night Out. What is that?
That's, the night that celebrates the law enforcement, and we have, usually create a community event that comes forward and develop. Just, interact together and, you know.
Let me know how we can help, because
Yeah.
I would love to be part of that.
This will be the first time that we do this, and I can't even remember the last time this has participated in that. So this will be a new thing for us going forward. I'm trying to do this every year. Just gotta figure out what we want to do, venue.
I think August 2nd, right? I'm not sure.
It's right around.
First week of August, yeah, it fell on a council meeting last year. There's different avenues, sometimes it's in neighborhoods, so neighborhoods have block parties, and then you might have representatives from city departments or agencies that might visit those. Sometimes it's at one location, so it can be addressed on resources.
Sheriff's.
And that's an idea we have.
I mean, the bigger, you know, with all the parts come together, make it a little bigger, make it more fun, bring more people out. Reach more people.
All right, any other comments or questions?
I just wanted to express my gratitude for the talented staff that we have that are here and want to make sure that we create the best community in the near future. There's a lot of hard work ahead, but I think the folks that are here really care and really want to see this vision of being able to walk everywhere and enjoying all the fruits and benefits of living in this beautiful place. So I know there's a lot of work ahead, but I think the staff that we have, I'm really confident that we can really move forward and achieve these goals. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
I appreciate it. I want to thank not just the department that's here tonight, but their staff are all engaged in this work plan as well. And it's forward thinking, right? It's planning, it's forward thinking. We're trying to be as proactive as possible, strategic, rather than be reactive. So that's really important. You kind of have to set your daily work aside a little bit and start thinking about what you're going to do in the future, even though getting through it every day sometimes.
It's hard just surviving it. Now we have a chance to thrive. So
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Moving on, we have a discussion on temporary signage presented by the city manager. At least started by the city.
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate, at the council, meeting last week, Councilmember Bush. Rose to the subject of temporary signs specific to the maximum allowable size for a temporary sign. I provided to you just that edit within that section of the code. Didn't really go any further because we didn't have a discussion about any other elements of that sign code to be discussed. I don't know if it's cautionary or just informational. Sign codes can take some time. We started this process. It was adopted in April of 22. We started the process in late 19. So it could take some time. If you dive into certain sections of the code, if you will, or make changes, it could lead to other implications down the road. So, again, we're not taking action tonight. This is informational, hopefully some direction from council where you want to go from here. If there is action that is sought, or at least bringing it to council for action at a later date, we have to schedule a public hearing because it's a code amendment. It has to be noticed 10 days in advance of the meeting in the local paper. And then, our three-touch rule would have action at a following meeting. And then we have a 60-day review of Department of Commerce. They don't always need 60 days, but they usually take. And they don't have to provide either. Sometimes we just don't hear anything. we assume that they reviewed it and, either they've approved it or they don't have any protocol comments, so we move forward, with implementation. So that's kind of a brief introduction. This question.
Who wants to start?
So I see that you've made the change on it's, for the whole thing, it's page 22. For the maximum size of the temporary sign shall be 32 square feet. We have them marked out. 16 is 32. Good.
Yes.
Okay. If this is the only thing we're looking to change,
Yeah.
this number right here, and nothing else. How easy is that to do? And if that is the only change you need to make, that easier than everything else?
Please.
I mean, it, whether we change just the one number or we change entire paragraphs, I mean, the process time frame still stays the same. It's likely that with such a minimal change, like the whole 60 days would be required in Congress, but we don't know. Their backlog is pretty heavy right now. This Congress. So I think it's time to get through that. So, but if we're just changing one thing or we're changing a couple things, the process time frame is about the same. The kind of broader impact. So if we double the size of the sign from 16 to 32, we might want to look at some of the ancillary impacts. Like, for example, if you go down to subsection G, no more than 4 temporary signs are allowed per person parcel frontage. Now we're talking not just 4 16 square foot signs, which is already a lot of signage, but we're talking 4 32 square foot signs on any parcel. So even a 50-foot wide lot in the middle of town, if you're talking about 120 square feet of signage allowable.
We've had that for the last 20 years, so it's not like that's anything new. The end of Pioneer Hill, corner up there where the 4-way flashes are, there's always been 4 at least signs on every one of those corners. I know I put some up there myself. I don't think we need to change anything more than the square footage. Like I said, I've heard a lot about this last 2 weeks, and is anyone really that opposed to this?
100%.
Anybody else?
I'm opposed against all political signs, frankly. I
Well,
think it's a blight
I
every
don't-
season when the signs go
I
up.
don't know if we're talking political signs.
So-
We're talking a.
Temporary
we're talking-
signs.
we're
Temporary
talking
signs.
4 by 8
Temporary
Let's
signs.
take political out of the
I'm just
conversation.
saying, when I see signs go up, this,
Yes.
the past, well, in 2022, we made really distinct decisions to do all these little codes so that we can have a nicer, safer, cleaner downtown, you know? And instead of just, sight blight everywhere with crazy signs and waving guys and all this, all the banners and all the, anyway, I think signage is kind of a temporary signage is a blight to me when I see it. I get PTSD pretty much because also because when I did put up signs, a lot of them were trashed and thrown away and vandalized. I think that's just any sign, temporary or not, is a site blight during the season, and it's also contributes to a ton of plastic pollution. And I think I was one of the only people who ran for office who recycle signs. So I'm just saying, signage to me is a blight when I see it, and it's hecka hard to put them up everywhere, and we're always we're trampling stuff, trying to get the places. I think signage is bad for politics here. So I think we should have more debates and more forums and less signage. And I think we're also contributing to the political industrial complex, and that's for real. So
Both of you disagree, anybody else?
Well, we're having a conversation.
That's what I'm saying, no, I mean, Melissa, if you guys have any input, I'd love to hear.
Well, I'd like to say that I was involved in the last sign change and I had reservations about the sign change for being fair to businesses, and we worked that out. We did increase the size of the sign to a 4x4 sign or 16 square foot sign.
It's 10 square feet, sorry to interrupt, there's 10 square feet
Yeah,
previously
yeah.
in the neighborhood residential
Yeah.
zone specifically. This current code changed that temporary signs to all zoning, so it could be neighborhood residential zone on Basil Street. or it could be the subject property that the Councilmember Bush brought up.
So we're straight. We've removed more signs recently than those signs. We removed a blaster sign.
We haven't removed any.
We've set notices to a blaster sign and they were removed and
There were a
there's.
couple enforcement courtesy letters that were noticed up on Wallaston Boulevard, that were voluntarily removed.
Okay.
JS.
Since have gone back because you guys wrote a violation to a community member. Now all the voluntary compliance is going back, just so you're aware, this is what we've created. Now, we've stumbled into a mess here that's gonna start getting worse, you're gonna see. Right now, we're this is a very small problem that we can deal with very short term. If we won't have, if there's political people that are calling me already, all over the place, they're gonna start calling here too. And some of the signs that were removed, different ones have been put back up because of that. And more are starting to get put up already, notice. And this isn't this isn't that I don't want to have people in the meeting telling us again about us doing something silly. This isn't that big of a deal. This is just, you know, a small change that we're trying to make here. Because it's something that we've done here historically forever. This isn't something that, you know, all of a sudden we're gonna start doing now. I mean, Miguel, you had 4x8 signs on the hills.
I did.
We all did, you know what I mean? I did, and a lot of us did that, and put up signs. And so a lot of people that have put them up there historically are questioning whether or not they're gonna be allowed to put them up again this year. Or is everybody gonna get fined from President Trump to Joe Biden to all the rest of them? Are they gonna all get fined because they put up a 4x8 sign? You know, that's just, it seems silly for us in the middle of, like, campaign season is coming right here. And we know the legislators are up, the senators are up, the president's up, the governor, everybody's up. So all those people are, and all their committees are gonna want to put up signs like they've done every year before. And now we're writing people up for it, so now you're gonna get backlash. And I think before we create our own nightmare, let's go out here and just be proactive and fix it.
I guess my thought is if somebody's gonna put up a sign, they're gonna put up a sign. So I guess I'm just having, maybe you can elaborate, Joe, just if the sign's gonna be there, I guess what is the major hesitation about the, 16 or 32? You know, just,
Okay,
I don't
guess
know all the
I-
background in this.
yeah, so, maybe let's, since you're asking me directly. The size of the sign is not, the debate that I'm having, it's the process more than anything. The complaint came from a property owner who didn't know who erected the sign on their property, which is a problem that we were dealing with through code. Absentee property owners and issues related to those problems, people not managing their property. The second piece was, the process of changing a law is important. And I think it's important to the public that when we change laws, we follow our process and we don't rush to make a change, especially because somebody asked us to make a change. I really could care less about political campaign season and trying to get anybody elected. I don't want it to be a political conversation. I have personal feelings about the clutter and the crap because 50% of them end up not where they started. Wherever they end up, they're not back at the political party headquarters. Usually they're amongst the community. And we end up having to deal with that. So yeah, part of this was development code. Part of this is just explaining to the community, but a big piece of this to me is just process. And it looks like the city council's making a change to placate to a single political candidate. And that's not what we are supposed to do here. And that is setting very dangerous precedent. That when we feel the pressure from an individual that we are willing to make a change that will impact the entire community. An ordinance is a law, period, and follow the rules. That's all I gotta say about that. We had open public meetings, hearings about it. That individual was involved in creating the ordinance. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that, so. Law.
That wasn't, I didn't speak to him. And it had nothing to do with it.
Well, that was the complaint was originated from, correct?
On Facebook, yeah, but that's what started the rest of the people. I didn't talk to him. Other people from around the county called me. And that's the only reason I heard about it. They called me at work. I was What's going on?
But his comment was that he talked to you and you said the council's going to change the
He
rules.
spoke to me afterwards. Okay, after I brought it up here, because I was like, yo, you know. Because I said, I don't think that.
But he told him that the council's gonna change the law, because he knows
No,
he posted.
what I said to him was, I said, we're gonna look into this. Because, dude. I'm not trying to cater to anybody. I mean, I don't really know the guy, honestly. I'm looking more at, the other electeds that called me in, around other places, had nothing to do with it. Like I said, he was here before, he's not here now, so that it doesn't, there's nothing there. My issue was if I put up signs of my own, which I have done historically, I don't want to be in violation of my own code. So this is something that we've all done here for a long time. Eric, you've been a part of this a long time, man. You have 4x8s?
I don't think I had picked up. I think I had 4x4s.
And if you have a problem,
That's a big
with the way
sign.
I'm trying to, I don't mean to rush anything, and it doesn't have to be done today. If you wanna, if we can have to do hearings on it, that's fine, I'm good with that. I'm not saying we have to rush and do it immediately. But I think it's something that needs to be done. If we can get it on,
If you don't mind, I think Jay can talk about the enforcement process, because I think there was a comment made about a fine. Or taking the sign down or something like that, so I wanna make sure everybody's clear on what that process is, right, so we're all playing the same deck regards.
So, we don't go straight to violation except in like dangerous, kind of situations, if there's health or safety impacts or something. On any of our posts, we typically go with a courtesy notice, which is just a, hey, you may not know, but you have, maybe unwittingly, violated one of the city, please comply, there's a reasonable timeframe. If they don't, then we send them a notice of violation, which is still just a, hey, now you're officially on warning, you have done a thing. And we'd like to see resolution of it, you voluntarily comply, or we can continue escalation. And then it'll go to an infraction, and or misdemeanor, depending on which part of our code. So we haven't issued any fines or citations or anything specific so far.
potential misdemeanor to put up a sign in your yard.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, no, but it can be, and that's what he just said. Let's not mince words here. That's ridiculous. To put up a campaign sign that's gonna be up there for what, 3 months? Come on, dude. That's just goofy.
If the sign is a violation of the law and then you get a letter and it continues, and I'm not saying because it's above 16 feet, I'm saying in general, whether we make it 32, whether we make it 764, whether we make it 256 square feet. Whatever it is, there's a possibility that somebody will break that law, not listen to their notification, and there needs to be some sort of enforcement.
Correct.
And at a certain point, that's a misdemeanor. Now,
Come on, we gotta pick our battles, You know how many people saw him on the side of the road measuring that sign? And I got phone calls from? Dude, that was ridiculous. Yo, this is silly. This is something that shouldn't have ever become this way. And the fact that it did, come on, we should all be looking at ourselves and going, how did we get this way?
Well, I can remember we spent 3 years working on this sign ordinance, or almost 3 years, and we put a lot of time into it. And we had study sessions, and we had study sessions, we had public hearings, the public was able to come in and talk about it. I don't believe we had much participation in it, as I can remember.
Most of it was outside of that.
We
With the government affairs committee, and the
Yes.
chamber of commerce, which
And we did-
regularly.
Nobody.
We did increase our sign size to 4x4 or to 16 square feet from 10, so the sign size did increase. I believe we allowed four signs on a piece of property, so, even four 4x4 signs on an 80 by 100 lot is gonna be crazy looking. I have no problem at looking at this in the future. I think the perception right now is terrible, and in January, I would love to look at this in January. But I don't think we should change it now. I mean, we spent almost 2 years doing the sign code. Why we want to change it in one day? Or
I didn't ask you to do anything today. I
Well,
said when we begin the process. You guys created this whole, it needs to be done today.
Well-
I didn't say it needs to be done in a day. I said I'd like to see it done soon.
Yeah.
That was what I said. Nothing needs to be done tomorrow. Dude, I'm up for dialogue on anything, with any one of you guys.
well, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're having dialogue. We're having dialogue right now. So
I'm not trying to force anything or do favors for anybody. I want us all to be in compliance when we run for office. I don't understand why that's a problem.
I don't know what's wrong with the 4x4 sign. 4x4 is a big sign. I
Okay,
mean,
but that's not what's been used here for the last 20 years. Eric,
I
watch
can't
that.
cater the laws for me when I run in the future. that is wildly unethical.
And that's a good spin you can put on it there, dude. I mean, but that's
Not gonna change law.
You just, yeah, but here's the deal. Well, no, but you'll change it to hurt everybody else around you. That makes you a better man, right? That's, and then you're gonna
Do
spin
we
it.
have consensus to move this on or not? We're not productive in the conversation anymore, so we have 4 people that want to move this on to business or not.
I wanna move it on.
I'm gonna pass.
Pass, not moving on.
I'm staying out of this one right now.
Okay,
I agree with you. I think we should deal with it at another time.
the same as me. I think next year, I'd look at it next year, January.
I don't have a problem moving on with it or not, honestly.
I want to reiterate that the sign game is dirty and like you put up a sign and it's 50% gone the next day.
Well,
So what Joe said was like, it's sign wars, right?
Let's finish the consensus. Let's see if we get consensus,
Sorry.
because we're, that's where we are now. We've got, moving on, abstaining, don't move it on, don't move it on, don't move it on. And then we've got Melissa is, how about, Cooper?
I mean, it seems like we have consensus not to move it on, so.
So, you got what you need there, sir?
I think so. I think I want to be clear though, at this point, this is 32 square foot. Right, signs are a violation of the existing code, regardless of any direction we have tonight, right? I'll utilize this opportunity for education purposes too. 4 temporary signs per lot, the maximum for our existing code. At the same
Double
time,
down on that tonight.
at the same time, so, just want to be clear, we'll utilize this as an education piece. If there's somebody that we can reach out to, that you would like us to reach out to, provide a copy of the sign code, provide more of a, what would you say, just a narrative or, education piece that, you know, maybe simplifies the code, if you will. We're happy to provide that maybe to at least to the political parties and anybody else that might be involved. So they're fully aware, they can distribute that information.
I didn't notice anything when I was reading the code that prohibited in any way the sticking together of 2 signs. And it's basically what's been done up there right now. There's about 15 signs on the spot. But if you can have 4 4x4 signs, is it feasible that somebody could, and I'm definitely not in the spirit of the law, but apply them all in a way that makes it an 8x8 sign? And in that sense, a 4x8 sign could be cut in half and immediately become 2 4x4 signs.
Going back to,
You're right, it's not clear, so it's not defined in the temporary sign, but it is in temporary sign section, but it is defined within the permanent sign section, how you measure the sign area.
and it does include structural and component parts, so if you were to have. Without going too much into the existing, I mean, if you have one frame with a bunch of signs on it, but it's all on one frame. It's pretty reasonable to assume that that's one structure, and so then we're looking at the square footage and total area. That, so it gets dicey if you're building something that's, some kind of contraption. If you were to take one and cut it in half and have 2 separate frames, have it separated. Is it 2 signs? Possibly. It depends on the construction, how are they attached, are they not attached, or are they flat? It just would depend a lot on construction. Really, if somebody's getting the splitting hairs that much, it becomes a little more difficult to try to.
I have a couple questions. How many complaints on signs have you gotten in, say, the last year?
Year.
I mean, how?
We get them fairly regularly, and not just, again, not just political signs. We have one for an offsite business that's not even located in town. We set up a courtesy notice as well. But an offsite sign for, they're located out in Incorporated County, for advertising. So, and it's a violation. We've had a number of them. everything from, people putting up sandwich boards in the middle of the sidewalk and impairing ADA access. We've got some of those complaints. The exact quantity, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Sorted out, but I would say they're fairly regular for me to get them weekly. And it's this time of year, we get them much more than.
More
weekly.
frequently, yes, yeah. I guess I don't know all the details of this current situation, who and what at all. My thought was like, okay, is this gonna create a whole lot? I don't know, this seemed to be such drama over this sign here recently, that like, okay, looking forward.
Well, we had
I
signs,
don't know,
we had Macomb Funeral Home signs in town, 2 spots in town that were quite large, and that's itself, not just the size, but that they're not allowed to advertise another business at their property. I actually got I had a sign in front of Bay Shore that was for a roofer, and the state sent me a letter, a certified letter, gave me 24 hours to remove it. I mean, that's how fast that was, or I was gonna be fined. I wasn't given a week or two, and I mean, I went out there and cut that sucker down right then, but we had signs all over town, and then when we started the sign ordinance, we had issues with people having visual problems or looking around signs. We had these little wavy signs blowing everywhere, and people couldn't see around them, so we addressed that. We addressed those signs.
The REIT decision,
Yeah.
frankly, we made our sign plus, I think it's about 9 pages in total now, from 29, almost 30 pages.
Yeah.
Previously had a bunch of different iterations within different zones.
Yeah.
It's never gonna be perfect, right? We've identified some changes that we'd like to make, down the road as well. We've never be perfect. We're always gonna run into different iterations within our entirety of our code, our development code. Like it includes entirety, there's gonna be different iterations and changes, based on political, or not necessarily political, but community, views, how our community changes demographically, as it gets built out, so our lots decrease in size, moving from a 6,000 square foot lot to a 4,500 square foot lot. If they for temporary signs on that lot that might say, in not so kind words, I don't like my neighbor, or something like that, that has a direct impact on those. So we have to consider those the same as the discussion we had tonight. That's what we tried to do back in 19 and 20, 19 through 22, it's adoption. It's that some of those conversations were very comfortable, frankly, because there's a lot of different opinions, but at the end of the day, we try to adopt a code that encompasses a majority of our population.
I just think for the really big signs, I mean, our town is small. There's lots of county space. You're allowed to have the bigger signs in the county. Put them in the county.
Yeah, I mean, for 4x4 signs, there's a lot of signs, even on an 80 by 100 lot, let's say right down the street of Kevin's property. I mean, 4x4 signs is a lot of signs, so I just don't see it being that big of a deal. I think that whoever wants to put signs up, temporary signs, 4x4 is a big sign. And I think, if we want to address this down the road, let's do it, but let's not rush and jump on things just because, a couple people are unhappy because they want bigger signs. I mean, it's a sign. It's a sign, and, we still got 2 up. I walk a few miles every day. We still got 2 signs up there at 13th and K. I should just grab when I'm walking one day that from election 2 years ago that are sitting right there laying on the thing, that ran for this office. So I should just grab them and take them and throw them away, but they're still laying right there in the middle of the grass.
Or I can use this as an opportunity to pitch my Civic, post that in there, so that we'll make sure that the appropriate department of the city takes care of that.
I think one of my resistance to wanting to move this forward is that I don't have a problem with the 32-foot sign where it was. It's that there are other areas where there probably are problems with the 32-foot sign or with 4 32-foot signs. And people do own their property and they have a right to do that. But I think if we open this up, we're gonna not change one number. If we change anything, I think it's gonna be more nuanced than that. And I don't know if it's the most pressing issue that we have right now. I think, Joe, you brought that up last week.
Where you been for the last 6 years on housing, Jeff? I've been at 1,000 Authority crowd services all the time, right then. You're worried about roads, because you work for DOT. Let's get real, man, come on, bring garbage out.
Alright, so. Moving on.
We'll put this on our kind of study session list for looking ahead, in the future, develop a timeline. That we can bring this forward, as Jay's implemented, we kind of have this. Track changes, if you will, or sort of to be edited, spreadsheet.
Fix it list.
Yeah, fix it list, yeah, if you will, in the tool manager, right? And so that builds this list, we develop some of the comments that we receive over time, some things we've experienced as staff. And working through the development code and putting our fix it list and be able to bring this back in the future.
I want to thank staff, thank the council. This is government at work. This is how government works. You know, they elect us and majority makes decisions that we find, you know, that's best for the citizens at the time that we do it. And, you know, I think it's a process and I no hard feelings. I think we did our job.
And I encourage anybody who cares to run opportunity.
So,
And reach out to us. Reach out to staff, ask us the question, we'll be able to provide guidance on. Signs or any other permitting process. that maybe.
Well, you know, the root cause of this problem is a lot of folks just put up their signs anywhere without asking permission. And then it starts up a sign war. Then, well, that guy put up that sign, so I'm gonna put up mine right beside his. And then it gets, you know what I'm talking about? And then the signs, and then people get mad and knocked out other people's signs. I spent half my campaign every morning driving around to see if my signs are still up every day. You know, so, and it's like Joe said, half of them end up in the trash. One of my signs got thrown over to the pump station, you know, and I'm just saying like this temporary signage is kind of a blight on our community, and the smaller the better and less plastic.
I
So,
think it would be great if.
and I was out of
people
compliance and I
had signs
apologize.
On a daily basis, that'd be terrific, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we encourage that because, you know, the wind's gonna blow tonight, right? It's gonna rain, you know, snow events, we have all kinds of activity that happens, people walking down the street, just, you know. Kick the sign over or something like that, so it'd be great. Those were appropriate. That wasn't always the case, and we have the opportunity to take action.
all right. Does council have any new items for discussion tonight?